Welcome to the deep dive. So, imagine a company, right? Trying to navigate these really choppy economic waters, maybe predict its next quarter, or even eyeing a huge acquisition. Who's behind the scenes building that financial foresight, turning all that raw data into, well, the strategic advantage? Today, we're diving deep into exactly that, how you can absolutely ace the FP&A analyst interview. We've pulled together some fantastic insights from industry experts, top recruiters, a really solid stack of sources.
Yeah, and our mission today, it isn't just to, list off interview questions. We want to get behind them, figure out the why, give you the strategies to really show your value, and hopefully give you that confidence to truly shine. We're aiming to go beyond the basics, find those little nuggets, those surprising facts or approaches that'll make you stand out.
Exactly. And the FP&A role, it's so much more than just crunching numbers, isn't it? It's really about translating these complex financial landscapes into clear, actionable intelligence, stuff that directly impacts the company's bottom line, its future. So yeah, we'll explore the core responsibilities, the skills you absolutely need, and maybe those subtle things, those differentiators that can make or break your interview performance. It's about showing not just what you know, but how you think and how you influence decisions. Hashtag, shagtag, understanding the FP&A role and core skills.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. For anyone listening who's maybe still wondering, what exactly is an FP&A analyst? I mean, at its core, it stands for Financial Planning and Analysis. And these analysts, they're just crucial, absolutely crucial for companies' financial health. They handle everything from budgeting, forecasting, to analyzing really complex data, all to provide those actionable insights. They're basically strategic partners to the leadership team.
hmm Think of them almost as the company's financial navigators. Their work. It involves meticulously looking back at past financial performance, checking out current market conditions, and then, crucially, projecting forward to help guide those big strategic choices. They basically make sure the company hits its financial goals. Sometimes they even help define those goals, and they have to work across different departments, to align the financial plans with what the whole business is trying to achieve. So that brings up a key point. What skills, beyond just, being good with numbers, does someone really need to nail this role?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our sources consistently point to 5 key skills, non-negotiables, really. First up, analytical skills. This is about digging into complex financial data, spotting those subtle trends, identifying patterns, maybe even anomalies, seeing the story behind the numbers. Second, technical proficiency. And this means really knowing your way around financial software, being an expert in Excel, especially modeling and using data visualization tools effectively, making reports and forecasts clear and compelling.
Third, and this is honestly where a lot of really smart analysts can stumble, communication skills. You could build the most brilliant, insightful model, but if you can't clearly and persuasively explain your findings, your recommendations, especially to people who aren't finance experts, well, it loses a lot of impact.
Right.
Fourth is attention to detail. I mean, precision in financial modeling, in data analysis, it's not just about being neat. It's fundamental for accurate, reliable insights. Tiny errors can lead to huge missteps. And finally, problem-solving abilities. It's not just reporting on what happened. It's about actively developing innovative solutions to financial challenges, constantly looking for ways to optimize business performance. These aren't just like nice-to-haves on a resume. They're the absolute pillars of being effective in FP&A.
Okay, so if those are the skills, how do you actually show them in an interview setting? Our sources list dozens of common questions, but let's focus on some of the really insightful ones, starting with that technical and analytical core. All right, here's one you're almost certainly going to hear. Can you describe your experience with financial modeling and the types of models you have built in the past? Now, obviously, they want to gauge your hands-on experience, but what's the deeper layer here? What are they really trying to understand beyond just a list?
Yeah, they're definitely looking for impact and purpose, not just a technical checklist. So don't just say, oh, I built a discounted cash flow model, a DCF, which is basically valuing future cash flows back to today. Or I built an LBO model for analyzing debt-funded acquisitions. Instead, frame it with the why. Why did you build it? What specific business question did it answer? And crucially, what was the tangible outcome? You could say something like, my DCF model wasn't just about valuing a potential target. It actually uncovered an overlooked synergy
Oh,
that ultimately boosted our projected ROI by 7% and directly shaped our negotiation strategy.
yeah.
See, that demonstrates real thinking, real influence.
That's a much stronger answer. Great distinction. Okay, building on that, another core one. How do you approach forecasting revenue and expenses for a new fiscal year? This really gets to the heart of strategic planning.
Right. When you answer this, You want to show a systematic, thoughtful approach. Explain that, yeah, you start with historical data, identifying trends, but then you quickly pivot to incorporating forward-looking stuff, market research, economic indicators, maybe even what competitors are doing. And a really strong answer will emphasize collaboration. Describe how you'd proactively go talk to sales, marketing operations, gather their input to make sure your forecast isn't just numbers in a spreadsheet, but actually reflect the operational reality of the business.
Makes sense. And what about this one? What key performance indicators, KPIs, do you consider most important for financial analysis and why? This obviously tests your ability to prioritize, but how do you make that answer really stand out?
Well, companies want to see if you understand critical financial levers. So don't just rattle off the usual suspects like revenue growth or profit margin, though those are important. Instead, try to identify KPIs that are particularly relevant to their specific industry or their stated strategic goals, and then explain why they matter in that context. For instance, maybe for a fast-growing tech company, customer acquisition cost or churn rate might be just as vital as gross margin.
Right, tailoring it.
Exactly. Explain how looking at a basket of relevant metrics like revenue growth, margins, maybe cash conversion cycle, gives a complete actionable picture of financial health and operational efficiency. Show you can adapt your focus.
Okay, this next one feels huge because bad data leads to bad decisions. How do you ensure the accuracy and integrity of financial data in your analyses?
Oh, absolutely paramount. You need to convey that you take this incredibly seriously.
Yeah.
Talk about implementing robust processes for data validation and reconciliation. It's not just about double-checking sums. It's about understanding where the data comes from, its lineage. Mention regularly auditing data, looking for discrepancies, maybe using software tools to help automate checks and maintain integrity. And crucially, what happens if you do find an issue? Explain your process, how you'd investigate, trace the source, work with the relevant department to fix it, and then importantly, put measures in place to stop it from happening again. It shows a proactive, almost detective-like mindset.
Good point. Okay, finally for this technical section where the rubber really meets the road. What methods do you use to analyze variances between actual and budgeted financial performance?
Yeah, variance analysis. It's not just about finding the difference between budget and actuals. The real value is in understanding the why, the root cause identification.
Mhm.
So explain your systematic approach. Yes, you compare actuals to budget, but then the key is digging deeper. Go beyond just the surface numbers. Describe how you'd investigate. Maybe that means talking to department heads, examining specific cost drivers, really getting into the details to understand why the deviation occurred. And then this is the critical part. Explain how you recommend specific, measurable corrective actions to help get future performance back in line with the plan. It's about analysis leading to action and foresight.
All right, let's shift gears a bit now. FP&A isn't just about the numbers, right? It's also hugely about influence, strategy, being adaptable. So here's a question you might face that really probes that. Can you discuss a time when your analysis led to a strategic decision for the company? This feels like where you can really show your impact.
That's exactly right. Companies aren't just hiring calculators. They want people whose analysis actually moves the needle. So for this, you need a solid story. Describe the analysis clearly. What was the business challenge or question you were tackling? Then, explicitly connect your insights to the strategic decision that was made. And don't be vague. Quantify the positive outcomes if you can, or at least highlight the significant lessons learned. Like you could say, my analysis of shifting customer demographics revealed a major gap in our product offering for a growing segment. Based on that data, we launched Project X, which captured Y% market share within the first year. Specifics make it believable and impactful.
That's a fantastic structure. Okay, but how do you handle explaining all these potentially complex insights to folks who maybe don't live and breathe spreadsheets? The question, how do you communicate complex financial information to non-financial stakeholders?
Yes, this is such a critical skill. The goal is clarity simplification without making it simplistic, if that makes sense. You should emphasize using clear, jargon-free language. Maybe use analogies they can relate to, something from their world. Definitely mention using visual aids, dashboards, clear charts, graphs to convey information quickly and effectively. A picture really can be worth 1,000 words or numbers. And always, always tailor it. Think about who you're talking to. What's their knowledge level? What do they actually care about? Your goal is to make the information understandable and actionable for them, facilitating good decisions across the board, not just showing off how smart you are to other finance people.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay, speaking of challenges, because no job is smooth sailing all the time, Can you discuss a challenging project you worked on and how you overcame obstacles?
Right. This one's testing your problem-solving grit, your resilience, how you handle adversity. So think about a project that really threw you a curveball. Maybe it was pushback on a new system you were implementing, or perhaps a sudden major issue with data integrity you uncovered mid-project. Describe the project briefly, why it mattered. Then clearly lay out the obstacles you faced, and be specific about your actions to overcome them. Did you foster communication through workshops? Did you roll up your sleeves and troubleshoot a technical issue yourself? And always close the loop by highlighting the positive outcome. Maybe the project ultimately led to a big efficiency gain, or improved how different teams work together. Show you can turn challenges into successes.
Good advice. And kind of along similar lines, especially now, things change so fast. Describe a time when you had to adapt your analysis based on changing business conditions.
Yeah, this tests your flexibility, your ability to pivot. Businesses operate in a dynamic world. So think of a real situation, maybe a sudden market downturn, a new competitor emerging unexpectedly, or even just a significant shift in the company's own strategy. Describe those changing conditions clearly, and then explain how you quickly adjusted your analysis or forecast. Did you need to incorporate new economic data? Revise sales projections significantly? Build out completely new scenario models. Emphasize how quickly you responded, the rigor you maintained in your adjusted analysis, and hopefully the positive outcome, like maybe helping the company maintain profitability despite the headwinds, or even spotting a new opportunity amid the chaos.
Right, showing that agility.
Huh.
Okay, last one for this section. What soft skills do you believe are essential for success in an FP&A role, and how have you demonstrated them?
We touched on some skills earlier, but this is really about the how you interact and collaborate. Beyond the technical chops, things like effective communication, strong teamwork, influence, maybe even negotiation, they're all critical. So don't just list them. Share concrete examples. Perhaps you led regular cross-functional meetings to get everyone aligned on financial strategies that shows leadership and communication. Or maybe you had to mediate a tough discussion between two departments over budget allocations that shows problem solving and negotiation. These interpersonal skills are absolutely vital for working effectively in a team and translating financial insights into real collective action. Hashtag the future of FP&A and your questions for them.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit and look towards the future. Here's a question that lets you show your forward thinking. What role do you believe technology plays in the future of FP&A?
Good one. Technology isn't just, a helpful tool anymore. It's fundamentally reshaping the entire FP&A function. When you answer this, definitely talk about automation, how it's streamlining the routine, time-consuming tasks, which frees up analysts like you to focus on the more strategic, higher-value activities, the actual decision support.
Right, less number crunching, more thinking.
Exactly. And discuss advanced data analytics, maybe mention AI or machine learning, how these tools will provide much deeper, more predictive insights than we've ever had before. Also, cloud-based planning tools are huge. They enhance real-time collaboration, make data accessible from anywhere. It's really about moving FP&A from being reactive, just reporting the past, to being proactive and predictive, guiding the future.
That's a great perspective. Okay, here's a more foundational question you might get, but it also lets you show the breadth of your understanding. How do you assess the financial health of a company?
Yeah, this seems basic, but your approach matters. You need to show a methodical process. Start with the core financial statements, obviously. The balance sheet, what the company owns and owes. The income statement, is it profitable? And the cash flow statement, understanding where cash is coming from and going. The big three. But don't stop there. Explain that you then dig into key financial ratios. Things like liquidity ratios, can it meet short-term obligations? Profitability ratios, how effectively is it generating profit? Solvency ratios, its long-term financial stability. And really importantly, mention putting it all in context. That means assessing market conditions, what's happening in the industry, maybe benchmarking against key competitors. It's about seeing the whole picture, not just isolated numbers on a page.
Excellent. Now, we always say this, but an interview really is a two-way street. The best candidates, they always come prepared with smart questions for the interviewer. What are some of the most impactful ones you should be asking to really make a good impression?
Absolutely. Asking thoughtful questions shows you're engaged, you're serious, and you're thinking strategically. First, I'd definitely ask about the biggest financial challenges or maybe the key strategic priorities the company is facing right now. This does two things. It shows you're thinking at a high level, and it lets you immediately start positioning your skills as solutions to their specific needs.
Sure.
Second, Ask how the FP&A team typically collaborates with other departments. This signals you understand the importance of teamwork and influence, that you're not just going to sit in a corner with your spreadsheets. Third, it's good to inquire about the specific tools and software the company uses for financial analysis and reporting. This shows your technical interest and readiness to hit the ground running with their systems. And finally, always ask about career progression opportunities within the FP&A team or the wider finance function. It shows you're not just looking for a job, but potentially a long-term career, demonstrating commitment and ambition. Hashtag tag tag final preparation tips.
Okay, to wrap up this deep dive, our sources offer some really crucial practical preparation tips. First off, and this might sound obvious, but research the company thoroughly. And we don't just mean glancing at their About Us page. Really dig in. Look at their latest financial reports, read recent news articles, check out press releases, understand their position in the industry. Knowing their specific financial challenges, their goals, their recent performance, it allows you to tailor all your answers, speak their language, and show a level of genuine interest that really stands out.
Absolutely. And building right on that, what should you be reviewing in terms of your own knowledge?
Well, definitely brush up on the essential financial concepts and metrics. Make sure you're comfortable talking about cash flow analysis, the different types of financial modeling, the strategic use of various KPIs, being able to not just do them, but discuss them confidently, maybe even explain a complex concept simply that really showcases your technical depth. Good point. And finally, a classic piece of interview advice, but so important. Practice your behavioral questions. Our sources specifically highlight the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. It's a great framework. So take some time beforehand. Think back on your experiences, successes, challenges, collaborations. Map them out using that STAR structure. It's not about memorizing a script, but about organizing your thoughts so you can tell a clear, compelling story that highlights your skills: problem solving, teamwork, performing under pressure in a structured way. Hashtag tag tag outro. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into acing that FP&A analyst interview. We've covered a lot of ground, from really defining the role and the skills you need to breaking down those key interview questions and offering some solid practical prep strategies.
Yeah, we've tried to look beyond just the what questions, getting into the why behind them, and most importantly, the how you can demonstrate your unique value and your strategic thinking. Hopefully you're feeling more prepared and confident heading into your next interview.
Absolutely. You should now have a much clearer picture of what hiring managers are looking for, and crucially, how to articulate your experience and potential in a way that really connects and resonates.
So maybe a final thought for you to chew on as you get ready for that next step.
Yeah.
How might mastering these interview approaches, really focusing on demonstrating impact, strategic thinking, and strong communication, not just help you land that next FP&A job, but actually set the stage for your entire career trajectory in this exciting field?